Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
This is entertainment. People pay to watch this.
Pass to a cutting Hiltz. He darts in. Oh!
People actually subscribe.
All across central New York.
Time expired! Syracuse has done it!
It's Drive Time with your host, Tim Leonard.
Hey, guess what? I'm getting one. Hey!
We welcome you in on Drive Time on a Thursday afternoon with plenty to discuss on a game night for Orange basketball. First time in 10 days, the Orange will take the hardwood, and they'll play twice in the next 3 days. And it is a late one tonight. We will have you covered pregame and postgame tonight. Giovanni Heater with you, and Gio is getting his coffee ready. He's getting his game plan ready for the 9 p.m. weeknight tip. Unfortunately, it's not our first rodeo. Unfortunately, it will not be our last rodeo with a said 9 p.m. weeknight tip. Well, that just means we got to turn down the lights and do one of those spooky Labatt blue light behind us postgame shows, I think. We'll see what the Orange have tonight as they take on St. Joe's. That game will be getting going at 9 p.m. We will have pregame coverage for you. Always brought to you by Burdick at 8 p.m. and then postgame right after the final buzzer. You can hear Adrian Autry's full postgame press conference whenever we have that available to you. And whenever he goes live, we get it to you. You can watch it on qsportstalk.com. You can chat away. You can call in to my show right now or during the postgame later on at 315-437-7644. We will be chatting with Chris Brown in about 15 minutes as we preview the Bills' big game on Sunday. Bills and the Patriots. Chris Brown of the Buffalo Bills Radio Network, Buffalo Bills play-by-play man, will be joining us in about 15 minutes. Other than that, the phone lines are open throughout our hour with you this afternoon. For ESPN 44 is the phone number to call, or 315-437-7644. We begin today with our Burdick BMW of Cicero opening drive, as always. And let's go over the three things we want to see tonight from Syracuse basketball as they take the hardwood for the first time in 10 days. And they're back out there for the first time since the biggest win of the Adrian Autry era, when they took down Tennessee, and they sit now at 5-3 on the season. They are in the low 70s in the net ranking, and they are taking on a St. Joe's team that is projected to lose this game by about 14 points on KenPom, and the Vegas spread tonight is 12.5 in favor of Syracuse. Again, 9 p.m. tip tonight, and we hope all of you are driving safe right now as you start to think about maybe making your way into the Dome. It looks like the roads are getting clearer, but it has been a tough stretch of snowy, wintry conditions here around Syracuse. And we always got to keep that in mind for all of you that are listening right now as you're driving around. Make sure you are doing so safely. Let's go over our Burdick BMW of Cicero opening drive, though, and the three things we want to see tonight from Orange basketball against St. Joe's.
Number one.
First thing, I would like to see J.J. Starling dominate a game tonight from start to finish. I would like to see J.J. Starling score 20 or more points tonight. We know it's in there. We know he did it a whole bunch last year. And it's been an interesting start to the season for J.J. Starling. The last 2 to 3 minutes we saw him, he was very good at the end of the Tennessee game. And he took over at the end of that Tennessee game. He only had 12 points against Tennessee, and he has not scored more than 12 points in a game this season. He's missed some time due to injury. He's played 5 full games, and every game he's been in double figures. And every game he's been between 10 points and 12 points. Could this be the game tonight where JJ scores upwards of 15 or 20 points and breaks through. He's not asked to do that nearly as much this year, but Donnie Freeman, we don't expect necessarily to be back tonight. I would be surprised by that. He is a game-time decision, and if Donnie Freeman's not in the lineup, in a way, JJ is being asked to step up a little bit more. So he's been consistent. He's been relatively efficient. He's shooting 35% from three-point range. One thing that is underrated about JJ, he really never turns the basketball over. We've talked about that with Nathan George, and we'll get to that on the three things that I want to see. But you got to like that he has dialed it back a little bit in terms of shot selection, and he's playing his role a little bit more. At the same time, I want to see JJ have that gear that we know is in there and see him take over a game. He's a senior. It's St. Joe's. This is the type of game tonight where I think he has an opportunity to take over the game, and we have not seen that yet in his senior season. Let's go to the phone lines. We've got Gavendo leading us off here on Drive Time. What's up, Matt?
Beautiful day out in Central New York. How are you?
Yes, basketball season in full force tonight, Matt. I'm doing well.
Good. I'm looking forward to another defensive mashing tonight. I think we got to continue that defense. I also think it's going to be a good game for Cayenne to get back in the groove, knowing that we played some really tough competition, and he obviously has work to do and he's got to develop still, but this will help him get in, a little lesser competition. I'd like to see the walk-ons play too. I'd like to see everyone play. I think you'll see that. I think you'll see 10, 11 guys tonight.
Yeah, I think we will see probably 10 or 11, but you're not going to see Noah Lobdell, which is really the only walk-on. Well, you're not going to – let me finish. You're not going to see him unless it's like what the one game he came 30. In, 30 or 40 points, which it could be tonight. I wouldn't be that surprised if it's another one of those type of games. I think they match up well against St. Joe's, and – we always joke now about level 5 energy, and Red keeps saying that. I do think the way that he has constructed this roster and the emphasis that he has put on energy on the defensive end, I just have little doubt that they're going to come out and play with the right energy tonight. I mean, are you in agreement in that? I know that some people are saying rest versus rust and 10 days off. I actually look at it as they're going to come out really jacked up.
Yeah, they're ready to play. I think they got... They got slapped around in Vegas, not a ton, but they lost a couple times, so they've got their blood boiling, that's for sure. They should, you know what I mean?
Yeah, appreciate you checking in. That's Gavendo in Syracuse leading us off on the show tonight, and you can be next at 315-437-7644. Let's continue with my three things I want to see tonight from Syracuse basketball as they take on St. Joe's.
Number 2.
I'd like to see Nathan George avoid the careless turnovers. Nathan George is averaging 3 turnovers per game right now, the same amount that he averaged last season when he was the starting point guard for Georgia Tech. And it's fine if he has a higher than normal turnover ratio from a point guard at the end of the season. We just need Nathan George to be a little bit smarter in some spots. And I think he will be against St. Joe's. I think teams have started to defend him differently as the season has progressed, and he has made some poor choices in some moments in crunch time and against the power conference teams that gives me a little bit of reason for concern in terms of Syracuse reaching their ceiling and Syracuse being good enough to be an NCAA tournament team. So I'd like to see him get back on track. The same way that we've talked about Kyan Anthony, and he really has looked good against lower-level competition or even mid-major competition. Let's see Kyan get back on track now that they're out of that 4-game stretch. Let's see Nathan George get back on track in terms of limiting the head-scratching turnovers. He's going to make turnovers. That's how Syracuse plays. They want to get up and down. He is the fulcrum for the offense. But I think we're all in agreement that there have been some turnovers recently from Nathan George. The ones that you would like to avoid, the careless variety, is the ones that we're really focused on.
Number 3.
Third thing I'd like to see tonight, and this one's obvious, and we're going to say it all throughout the season. Can we just see some improvement at the free throw line tonight? Because the more I think about the free throw shooting, the more I'm really worried that this will be a constant issue throughout the season. And it feels like the coaching staff is understanding of that, but maybe not quite understanding of it enough. William Kyle is not going to suddenly become a good foul shooter. I'm sure they're working at it. I'm sure they've been working at it, and it's not pretty right now when he's at the line. And the problem is, when you go through the list of Syracuse players that have struggled at the free throw line, you think about William Kyle, you think about J.J. Starling, you think about Kyan Anthony. I do think Kyan is going to get better. It has to be better than what we've seen, about 53% from the free throw line from him. The issue, though, is those are three guys that are top of the list in terms of Syracuse's team at getting to the free throw line. Donnie Freeman is also on that list, and Donnie Freeman is probably your best foul shooter. He has not been playing, though. So it feels like everyone that is getting fouled the most are the ones that are struggling at the line the most. We keep saying Nathan George and Nate Kings, they're good foul shooters. That will help out the average. Those are not guys that are going to attempt a ton of free throws night in and night out. So knowing that, it's concerning that the free throw shooting, which is dead last in the country, and St. Joe's, by the way, is tops in the country in free throw shooting, even though St. Joe's is not known for being a good three-point shooting team or a good shooting team in the court of play. But that's concerning that the free throw shooting right now is bad, and I'm not so sure how much better it's really going to get. I mean, I think J.J. Starling is going to get better because we've seen him do it. I don't know if William Kyle is going to get a whole lot better. Kyan, I think, will be better free throw percentage-wise, but as you play tougher opponents and you play more games, he might not be as much of a center of your offense type of player as what we've seen to this point. All in all, I think Syracuse is going to win this game rather easily tonight. I think, like we talked about with Gavendo, they're going to come out with the right energy and ready to go. And I just feel like this team this year has the pieces, has the athletes to easily win all of these games. And they have done everything they can in the offseason to drill it into this team that you need to win these games by 20, 30, 40 points because of the net rankings. And it's so much a part of their DNA and the fabric of this team to run up the score and keep the pedal down and keep staying in the fight and all those phrases that Red uses. So I think they're going to win by probably 25 points tonight. I would definitely take the Orange to cover tonight. I think they match up well against St. Joe's. And really the only time they have struggled against a lower level team this year was Monmouth. And I said it going into the Monmouth game, that was just a really tough spot. That was looking ahead to Vegas, and Monmouth, that was their Super Bowl after almost beating Seton Hall. And I think Monmouth is a pretty decent team from what we've seen since they have played the Orange. We'll hit a timeout. We'll bring on Chris Brown of the Buffalo Bills Radio Network as we return to preview the Bills and the Patriots on Sunday. You're listening to Drive Time on ESPN Radio, QSportsTalk.com. What's up, chat? I did say Kings. I was kind of going at that Super Cat as like trying to say someone that they both said JJ, so I was trying to catch up. I also didn't say that I think JJ is going to score 20. That was what I wanted JJ to do. Nick, you're more football focused. Maybe you can sneak in a phone call. I'm going to talk some football after Chris Brown. If you want to call in then. If you've got anything to get off your chest, you could call in then. Nice bowling ball. Should be a good game to go to, I'd say. We appreciate you coming to the game, even though you're got a lot of reasons not to. Melo's going to be in the house. I guess that means Lala will not be in the house. Philly, you weren't there for Orange Nation? You missed Coach Jack at 1 p.m. getting us all jacked up because that's what Coach Jack does. And Matt Park at 1:30. And Paulie and Steve actually didn't really argue too much today, I would say. Nothing too crazy. Coach Jack is awesome. They've been playing very well. It's been fun to call their games to this point. Nice. We got a lot of you going to the game tonight in the chat. Got Crunch Weekly tonight, too, so I can't go over. Got to stay on time. No 2-hour show in a 1-hour block tonight. Is that what the chat was doing? I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, blame the snow. Every single drive time in the last 2 weeks has had me saying, I hope everyone's driving safe out there. Too much snow. It's a game time decision, according to John Rothstein. We'll see, Philly. I'd be surprised if he plays.
AM. ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com.
Back in on Drive Time, rolling along on a Thursday afternoon, a game night for Orange basketball. 9 p.m. tip tonight against St. Joe's. Big game coming up this weekend for the Buffalo Bills. And at this point of the week, Thursday, 5:15, we always chat with Chris Brown of the Buffalo Bills Radio Network. You can always see him in person on QSportsTalk.com when we bring him on. And Chris, a very exciting game for you to call last week against the Bengals. Just a thriller in the snow. It was all of the cinema that a great Bills win is, and Josh Allen doing his thing down the stretch. What impressed you the most seeing the Bills come back last week against the Bengals?
Yeah, they stubbed their toe a couple of times on a couple of opportunities to score touchdowns because you think about the Ty Johnson stumble, and he had a clear path to the end zone, falls down. And then you think about the James Cook fumble at the goal line that winds up being a touchback for Cincinnati, and you're saying, oh boy, they may have squandered some opportunities here. And then the defense just comes up huge with 2 takeaways on back-to-back plays. One, of course, going back for a 63-yard interception return for a touchdown by Christian Benford, who did it for the second straight week, putting points on the board himself to put the team ahead, just like he did in Pittsburgh the previous week on a fumble recovery. So, yeah, it was one of those special days, and knowing this is the last year that stadium is going to be open and hosting games. They've had a couple of memorable ones here this final season.
Yeah, they made things interesting, for sure. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride this year, but I think you got to like where the Bills are at right now at 9-4 on the season. And we'll get into this matchup against the Patriots and the meaning of it. But what's your sense of kind of how much the offense has evolved to this point? And do you like where the Bills are at in terms of, I know they just went up against one of the worst defenses in the league, but we saw some different things, it seemed like, from the wide receivers, and we saw guys kind of take a step up last week, it felt like.
Yeah, I think Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, really leaned into under center play action. They had used and sprinkled some of that into their offensive scheming. They went all in on it last week, and it worked exceptionally well. You have to respect Buffalo's league-leading rushing attack and James Cook, and so they used that to their advantage, using a lot of play action off of it. I mean, first play of the game, people are, the Cincinnati defense is like, got to stop the run, James Cook. And it's a play action fake, and it's 32 yards to Dawson Knox. And I think that really encouraged Joe Brady to lean into that all the more. And it's the most play action passing they've used all season. And they scored 39 points doing it, counting the defensive touchdown that they got from Christian Benford. But, the Bengals had trouble all season long defending tight ends, giving up a league-leading 93 yards per game and 12 touchdowns or 13 touchdowns in 12 games. And at the end of the day, the Bills tight ends have 11 catches for 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I think that was eye-opening too. So I think the offense and specifically the passing game has been evolving all season long. And I think if the Bills lean into utilizing their backs and their tight ends in the passing game, it will be a much more difficult passing game for opposing defenses to defend.
Do you think they can have some success doing that against the Patriots? We know the Patriots is a good rush defense on paper, and I guess that kind of ties back to what do you take away from the first meeting against New England, and what do you think will be kind of the chess moves now for the Bills as they try to, avenge that loss from the first meeting?
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots were the number 2 run defense in football when they played them in Week 5, and not much has changed. I believe they're ranked 3rd in the league against the run. They're giving up less than 90 yards a game. They have big, stout defenders up on the line of scrimmage. They know how to set the edge. So I think what could be in order here is utilizing those running backs in mismatches in the passing game. Getting them out in space on swing passes, wheel routes, things of that nature. And utilize the tight ends, too, at the second level off play action. So I'm not saying don't run James Cook. Obviously, they're going to have to do that and see if they can get some measure of success there. Spencer Brown, the right tackle, already told the media he's good to go for this week, so it looks like he'll be back in the lineup. So it looks like Buffalo should have their starting 5 back up on the offensive line again. So, this is a group that runs for 155 a game, but the Patriots are the only team that held James Cook under 75 total yards from scrimmage. But I think you got to tap into your running backs and their ability to make people miss in space by throwing to them and almost use it as an extension of the run game.
Yeah, you've been saying that. I feel like most times you've come on here throughout the year that's something they could explore a little bit more. It's fascinating how first meeting Patriots and the Bills, that was really like Drake May's coming out party on national TV, and he made some great plays in that game. Now, as we fast forward along the season, it feels like this is being billed as Drake May against Josh Allen, and Drake May's got better MVP odds than Josh Allen right now. How legit do you think the Patriots are, Chris? Because they are 11-2. They beat Buffalo in Buffalo, but that's also only one of 3 wins they have against a team with a winning record right now. So do you think they are legitimately top of the AFC good?
Well, I mean, they've won 10 in a row. That's pretty darn hard to do, whether you're playing a first-place schedule or a fourth-place schedule. Look, they're taking advantage of playing a last-place schedule based on their finish last year when they were 4-13. But you can't blame them for who they got to play, and you still got to win those games. And they've done it. They've won 10 in a row, which is a very rare streak to see in the NFL, no matter what team you're looking at. So you have to give them credit for that. They've played alarmingly consistent football. They rarely beat themselves, and more often than not, they win the turnover battle. So when you do all of those things, you often put yourself in position to win. And to their credit, they finished those games. and with respect to May and Allen, yeah, Drake May has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks on third and fourth down in the league. He's the leading quarterback in passer rating in the AFC, and Allen's right behind him, number 2 in the AFC in passer rating. But I think Allen has stepped up his game in recent weeks here when called upon. And as we saw last week, when he's facing one of those other elite quarterbacks, he raises his own game. I would anticipate he's going to do the same this week.
Do you think Allen should be more in the MVP conversation right now? I mean, when I look at the odds, it's Matthew Stafford leading the way most places, Drake May right behind him, Jordan Love's in the mix, Josh Allen's right there as well. Do you think maybe Allen should be more near the top of the odds right now?
I think he'd have to do some extraordinary stuff here down the stretch. Like if he can mimic last week's performance, to some degree in each of the last 4 games, maybe he'll have a bigger say about it. It is pretty interesting. I mean, Stafford leads the league in passing yards and total touchdowns with 35. Josh Allen has 1 fewer. He's got 34. He's got more scoring numbers than Drake May. May obviously has the higher efficiency numbers, and he's done it all season long. Josh hasn't been called upon each and every week to pull them out of the fire and win a football game because James Cook has run the ball so well. And I think that's what his teammates love about him so much. He's not about the statistics. He just wants to get the victory each and every week. So if he's got to hand it off, 40 times like he did in Carolina back in week 6, he's fine with that.
Yeah, and they have really just gone as far as Josh Allen can take them in years past, and it feels like, once again, he is playing some of his better football in the last couple weeks here. Chris Brown with us of the Buffalo Bills Radio Network, previewing the game against the Patriots on Sunday. It'll be a 1 p.m. kick. You can listen to it on our K-Rock station. So what do you think are the keys here going against the Patriots, knowing it's the second meeting and knowing this is a huge game for divisional implications? If the Patriots win this game, they will win the division for the first time since they had Tom Brady in 2019.
Yeah, I know that the veterans on this Bills team do not want this to be a hat and T-shirt game for the Patriots. You don't want to see your 5-year AFC East division reign come to an end in a head-to-head game to the team that's going to overtake you. So there's going to be plenty of added motivation to not have that happen. And I think the main impetus here is protect the football. Multiple turnovers in road games has sunk the Bills, and it sunk them in the game in Week 5. They had 3 turnovers in that game. As a matter of fact, it's the only game that the Patriots this season got 3 takeaways. So the Bills helped them, as they see it, win that football game back in Week 5. I think they just want to protect the football, play high-efficiency football, and complementary football where, even your special teams is helping you out with field position, which was another issue in that Week 5 game. So they just want to play their best game collectively in a 3-phase manner because you're probably going to need that to beat a team like the Patriots with how confident they have become, not to mention the fact they're coming off a bye week and their coaching staff had some extra time to prepare for this one.
Yeah, it's a good point. Any injuries you are tracking, Chris, for the Patriots or the Bills right now?
Well, we know the Patriots are going to be without their starting left tackle, Will Campbell, so they'll have the backup Vidarian Lowe there. And Milton Williams, their big free agent signing, is still on IR. So that's a big hole in the center of their defensive front. For the Bills, like I said, it looks like Spencer Brown's going to be back in the lineup this week, according to him. So that's good that they'll have their 2 tackles back. Kincaid is still good to go, coming off last week's game, no worse for wear in his return from injury. Christian Benford popped up on the injury report today as a limited participant with a toe injury. That would be big if his status gets called into question, because 6 of the last 7 games, when in man coverage calls, they've had him travel with the opponent's top receiver and he's locked him down. You really don't want to not have him for this one because they might line him up against Diggs in man coverage situations after he had a 10-catch, 146-yard performance in the first meeting.
Yeah, we know Diggs will be looking to have another big game. So, Chris, we're really looking forward to this matchup. Excited to listen to your call on Sunday at 1 p.m., and we appreciate you coming on, as always.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.
All right, that is Chris Brown, Buffalo Bills Radio Network play-by-play man for the Bills. Again, 1 p.m. K-Rock Station Sunday if you are driving around and want to listen to the Bills and the Patriots. That game on CBS, of course, and Really important game with the Bills at 9-4 on the season, and the Patriots sitting at 11-2, winners of 10 in a row. And they did beat Buffalo earlier on in the season. So we'll continue to preview that game, I'm sure, as the week continues on these airwaves. Again, it is a Sunday 1 p.m. kick between the Bills and the Patriots. We'll step aside, get back into some Syracuse basketball thoughts and football thoughts as well. Your phone calls are welcome, too, at 315-437-7644. Back after this on Drive Time.
This is
Yeah, I think the Patriots, they're definitely good. I just don't know if they are Super Bowl good, but we'll see. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much, Super Cat. I understand why all of you are furious, though. Interesting, Nick. Toledo guy? Recent Toledo edition, too. I would think that means the antennas are pointing towards Syracuse, or a recent portal edition. Yeah, I think they're playoff good, not Super Bowl good. Cowboys are kind of coming, I will say. It's amazing how that trade was viewed as such a negative at the start of the year. When I was down in Dallas for that SMU game, a lot of the Cowboys fans I was talking to were jacked up. They're obviously very down on the Mavericks, but don't blame them for that. Speaking of tough trades. You know, fellow in the YouTube chat was asking, why is the game at 9 tonight? Nothing airing at 7 on ACC Network. I don't really have an answer for you. I just assumed there was something before it. I know it's usually TV related. I think it could be because St. Joe's had to move the game, and this was kind of a late add to the schedule. But that's interesting. I did not know there's nothing before it. Tom, that's hilarious. That would be tough if you stuck with the Jets. One of my good buddies is a big Jets fan, and I feel for him. Supercat, you're not a Bills fan, or? I would understand if you hate the Patriots if you're a Bills fan. Oh, wow. Yeah. That would have been an interesting cocktail hour. That was the rare trade that everyone was against when it happened, and then everyone is still against it now. I mean, I can't recall a trade in my lifetime that was viewed immediately as 100% negativity from a Dallas perspective, or from whatever team. I see what you're saying. You you prefer if they suck, but you're not going to get too upset about it. That was a wild win for the Bills last week, though. I don't know, San Diego Keys. We haven't heard anything official, but although we've heard he's a game-time decision. Welcome back into Drive Time. Phone lines remain open for the final 30 minutes of the show this afternoon. Tim Leonard with you. 315-437-7644. Always the phone number to call here on Drive Time. And we will get to your phone calls as we continue throughout the show this afternoon. But plenty to get to on the Syracuse basketball and Syracuse football front as well. The Orange are back in action tonight, taking on St. Joe's. That will be a 9 p.m. tip. And let's go to the phone lines right now. We've got Michael, who is in Manlius. What's up, Michael?
Hey, good. How you doing, Tim? What's up with you?
I'm doing well. Excited for a game tonight. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. St. Joseph's, good matchup. I just wanted to talk about the transition from football to basketball. When Shaquille O'Neal went to the Phoenix Suns, he famously said, "The sun will rise in Phoenix." So I'm saying now that the fans can really focus on basketball and we can focus our energy on this team, I'm saying the Orange will rise in Syracuse.
Well, it does feel like the snowy weather, the crappy snow conditions, all that, this time of year, that's when we count on Syracuse basketball, right? It's been a little bit since we have had the basketball team being good lining up with the bad weather. So
that's right.
It would be nice if we get back to that type of feeling around Syracuse. We appreciate you checking in. That's Michael in Manlius with his positive words of encouragement that he gives for us all the time here on Drive Time. A couple other stats that I came across in regards to Syracuse basketball today that sort of jumped out at me. We have talked a lot about how much they have shot blockers on this year's team and they have better rim protection compared to last year's team. Eddie Lampkin had 5 block shots in the season before he came to Syracuse. The entire season when he was at SMU, or not SMU, where was Lampkin before? I'm blanking on it. Lampkin before, the season before, he only had 5 block shots the entire time. Eddie Lampkin made the decision to come to Syracuse, and he had 16 block shots in that entire season last year. Then you look at this year's statistics and William Kyle and the rim protection they have, and William Kyle has 22 block shots already through 8 games, which is already more than the top shot blocker on the team Eddie Lampkin had all of last season. Another stat that I brought up before on the show, and I'll repeat it again because it's just fascinating to me, that Akir Soiree, who has appeared in every single game this year for Syracuse, has not attempted a single shot this year. We are still waiting on that first field goal attempt from Akir Soiree, the Georgia Tech transfer who comes in. He plays a handful of minutes every game. He's averaging about 10 minutes per game. He's always out there making an impact on defense, and you got to give him credit. He understands his role. It's not to be a scorer. We knew that going into the season, but I did think that he would attempt a layup or an alley-oop catch or something by this point in the season. So maybe we will see that tonight as the Orange take on St. Joe's. Soiree still has not attempted a single shot this year. I was also going through today, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole going through the transfer portal and some of the guys that left Syracuse and how they are doing now. And we'll get to that in just a second. Let's go down the rabbit hole of Nick in Las Vegas, though, who is always one of our great callers here on Drive Time. And Nick did not lead off the show today. He understood it was a basketball game day. We talked hoops. Now we can get into football with Nick. What's on your mind, Nick?
Tim, that last caller threw me for a loop. It's football season year-round with Fran. We all know this.
That's true, especially nowadays. Transfer portal, coaching carousel. I mean, we never stop talking football with Fran Brown.
So, fun fact, I was on a call yesterday with Fran and John Wildhack and some of the administration regarding business. And Fran, obviously he's gonna talk things up, but he claims that Castillo is the best offensive line coach in the country.
Wow.
Very adamant that he made a home run hire with him. So we'll find out come August, but to say he's optimistic is an understatement.
That's exciting news. I mean, I was sort of interested, how far does he go back with Juan Castillo? I know Fran is a huge Eagles fan, and he was with the Eagles forever, but that's encouraging. I didn't know if that was kind of a hire because someone told him to hire him, or if that was a hire because he knows Juan Castillo and he's known him for a while.
Yeah, I didn't ask that part, but he did say, so John Wildhack said that this team is extensively better than it was 2 weeks ago. And Fran said, and when he hires his next two guys in the next 2 weeks, they're going to be even better. So there's a ton of optimism coming from those guys. Just to put it out there.
All right. I am interested, Nick, in how much we see Vince Karras bring in his guys and how many coaches that are hired from this point forward are coaches that are from Toledo or from that coaching tree. And will it be coaches that are from Fran Brown's tree or from Vince Karras' tree going forward? That's one thing that I'm pretty curious about.
So here's what I'm going to say. I think the over-under on people they get from Toledo is going to be 4. That's my guess.
Okay. Assistant coaches or players?
Players.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah. I would. That would make sense to me, too. I think they're going to bring in the best players from Toledo's defense. Why not? I mean, it was very good last year.
If we were playing a match game, which this is a good question for the next time you guys do it, my number's 4.
It will take a little bit before we figure out that answer, but I like where your head's at. I think you're pretty spot on there. I would imagine they're going to bring in a good chunk of players from Toledo, and maybe they bring in a player or two from Georgia State as well.
And I'm hoping, outside of the 2 new coaches, I'm hoping somehow Fran finds a way to get Pat Surtain Sr. because Florida State let him go as a DB coach. He would come in and fit that role perfect. A heck of a recruiter, knows Florida. He's got NFL experience. Like, if he could find a way to get Pat Surtain to come on, that would be the biggest home run he could hit.
Yeah, that would be impressive. And in the past, I don't even think that name would have thought about Syracuse or someone of that caliber, someone leaving Florida would have ever considered going to Syracuse. But with Fran Brown, you can't rule it out, right? I mean, that's kind of goes back to Will Muschamp even being a thought here when we first found out about the defensive coordinator position. Will Muschamp was never someone in a million years that would have considered Syracuse, but now that you have Fran Brown and his connections and what he brings to the program, that's one of the things that's maybe underrated about how much Fran has elevated the coaching positions around him just by what he brings to this program.
Last thing, Tim, before I let you go, What are your thoughts on the whole Michigan debacle?
I talked about this yesterday. I don't know who they're going to hire because they're in a really tough spot given the timeline of it. I sort of theorized yesterday when it first broke, and now we know more about Sharon Moore, but we knew at the time of my show yesterday that he was fired for cause, and we knew it was because of an inappropriate relationship with a staffer, and it's a wild story. I said yesterday that they probably will go the interim route would be my best guess, but it is a huge job, so maybe Michigan will find someone. I don't think they're going to find someone that's, a home run hire for them. I mean, if they go and get Jed Fish or someone like that, that doesn't really move the needle a ton for the Michigan fans, I'm sure.
No, I don't think so either. I think a name to watch outside the box, and I hate to say it because I'm in Las Vegas, but Dan Mullen might be a nice name for that job.
Yeah, he's done a good job so far. And Dan Mullen, of course.
He won at Mississippi State. He won at Florida. You know what I mean? He's got big P4 experience, and he's an offensive mastermind.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We'll let you go, Nick. That's Nick in Las Vegas, so he knows all about UNLV and Dan Mullen. It's fascinating how some of the names that we were talking about when Syracuse was looking for their next head coach after Dino Babers, you think about Bob Chesney, who is now on his way to UCLA, and Bill Simmons was taking some shots at John Wildhack this week about why he didn't hire Bob Chesney to come to Syracuse. I think Syracuse made a pretty darn good hire with Fran Brown. I still am in the camp that Fran Brown is going to lead this program into a better place, and Fran Brown is going to bounce back next year as the head coach at Syracuse. But Dan Mullen was a name that for so many days and weeks there, it felt like everyone that was following it had their sources telling them that Dan Mullen was going to be the next head coach at Syracuse. Of course, John Wildtech came out and said, I never even spoke to Dan Mullen. So that kind of took on a life of its own. But that was a name that was brought up. There were a lot of coaches that were in that conversation, of course, like any job. And it feels like Syracuse had several good options, honestly. And I think they did pick the best one of those options in Fran Brown. I would stand by that, even though this past year obviously made us sort of sour on Fran Brown a little bit and questioned some of the tactics. I think in general it was a terrific hire, and we can't overreact too much to how this season went. We'll hit a timeout. We can get to one more phone call on the other side if you call in right now at 315-437-7644. Back with more Drive Time. Hey, Crunch Weekly? Yeah. Oh, I'm staying on time. Tim told me. We are on time.
We are on time. Yeah. As you can see, it's nowhere on here.
Yes. Why would it be on there? That'd be too much work. Right. I didn't know that, San Diego Keys. He responded to you? That's funny. Remember when he was joking about it with Matt Berry? Wild times. Yeah, there was some snow this week, though, right, Dom? Did they cancel school for the entire week because of a couple inches? Well, Paulie hijacked my headphones because I hijacked his headphones and broke his headphones indirectly, but now his headphones don't really fit. I think my head was so different from Paulie's head that now he can't wear them. It's headphone gate. I did stretch out the neck. Oh, man. He didn't even get to miss out on school, Dom. Those were great days growing up when I'm sure a lot of kids around here found out last night, or that was the best feeling ever when you're waiting for the news to break if it's a snow day or not. And when you get it, it was always like it's like the feeling of leaving school for summer. It's like you can't really explain that feeling or compare it to anything else. Everyone knows that feeling of when they were young and you're like walking out of school on the first day of summer. And then nothing else really ever makes you feel quite like that again, I would say. I haven't seen anything today, San Diego Keys. Let's do a quick check of the portal. Yeah, I think it's just kind of waiting for quarterbacks to come out of the portal. I mean, that was one thing I was going to get to. It seems like Luke Carney might be staying based on me completely overreacting to his one social media post recently where he said like year one in the books. I would think, I mean, that really could mean he's going year two somewhere else, but I would think he would have entered by now, or I'm sure they will see more guys enter that have already made up their mind, but a little interesting. We haven't seen the quarterbacks jump in yet. Yeah, good times. Snow day. Yeah, who knows, San Diego Keys? I'm kind of thinking that too, but I was not thinking that a month ago, so I thought for sure he would hit the portal. Yeah. It would be hard for him to jump to something better or something equal or slightly worse if you're Luke Carney. That makes sense, Nick. He also technically can't enter the portal anyway, so.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
Final segment here on Drive Time. We'll have Gio doing Drive Time tomorrow. He'll also be in here for pregame and postgame as the Orange take on St. Joe's tonight. Late start, 9 p.m. tip. I was starting to talk about, before we had our last caller there, Nick, jump in on the conversation, and you can call in right now if you'd like at 315-437-7644. I was starting to talk about looking into Orange basketball players that have left Syracuse and gone elsewhere in the transfer portal, and there are a lot of guys that are doing fairly well, and I am nothing but happy for them, honestly. It feels like Syracuse has been better off with some of these guys leaving, and they're better off as well in some of the places they have gone. You think about a Petar Majstorovic, who's averaging 14 points per game, 6 rebounds per game for Long Beach State. He would have never done that at Syracuse, so it's fine that he left. We all liked Petar when he was here. He was kind of a fan favorite, but it's probably better that he's at Long Beach State, and he's putting up some better numbers, and he's playing a little bit more. Quadir Copeland, we will see later on in the year for NC State. He is a starter for the Wolfpack, 14 points per game and 5 assists per game. Chris Bell has had a really nice start to his season for Cal, and I was very curious how Chris Bell would do for a different team. And he has done a very good job at making threes like Chris Bell typically does, but he has been very efficient, 15 points per game. They're dialing up some nice plays for him, and he is making 42% of his threes right now. He's really hovering around a 50, 40, 90 season. It's still early, but Chris Bell is shooting 47% from the floor, 42% from three, and 90% from the foul line. I'm sure he's not getting many rebounds. I'm sure he's not great on defense. I don't think Chris Bell would have been a fit, clearly. I think it had run its course, and he wasn't great for the team in terms of the culture they were trying to build and what they were trying to do defensively this year to improve. But it is good to see Chris Bell is playing well for Cal, 15 points per game to this point in the season. Elijah Moore is an interesting one. I tried to do some research on this. He played in the first game of the season, only played 5 minutes, left the game with a concussion for Utah. He has not played since, even though Utah came out and said he was healthy and available. So I don't know if that is injury related. I don't know if that's him not cracking the rotation, which would be hard to believe. But whether he's healthy or not, he has only played 1 game this season for Utah. So not much to say on Elijah Moore. Chance Westry is still averaging the team high in points for UAB. He's cooled off a little bit, 16 points per game for Westry. He's not shooting great from three-point range, 29%, but he has had a nice season at a lower level for UAB. He would not have done that for Syracuse, and we know that the Chance Westry mystery and saga had kind of run its course, and UAB, they've been open. They took a chance on him. He is someone that, because of the injuries he dealt with and the illness he had last year, it feels like, even I've watched him a little bit for UAB, it feels like he's still struggling with conditioning and he's not playing quite as many minutes as you would maybe expect, or he gets tired out there rather easily. And I don't know if that's because of the illness he had last year or what, but overall he has done a good job at getting healthier and getting out there and making some stuff happen for UAB, 16 points per game. Kyle Cuff is averaging 8 points per game off the bench for Mercer. And Justin Taylor really has just not done anything for James Madison. And that just goes back to speaking to the talent difference that Syracuse had when Adrian Autry was here for the first year, or 2-3 years ago to now. Taylor was starting some games for Syracuse he has scored 2 points all year for James Madison. Last year, he averaged 2 points per game, 10 minutes per game. He's playing even less this year in his second year at JMU. So it just has not worked out, and that's an example of someone that was a miss by the recruiting experts and by everyone that evaluates high school talent. We thought Justin Taylor was going to be better. We thought Benny Williams was going to be better. Jalen Carey, the list goes on and on. Sometimes it does not work out that way. That'll wrap things up this afternoon on Drive Time. We thank Giovanni Heater for producing. As always, he will be in here for pregame from 8 to 9 p.m., taking your phone calls. And then right after the final buzzer, late night for this 9 p.m. tip, right around 11 p.m., Gio will be back for postgame. We'll talk to you then on KeySportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.
Did you miss Drive?